What's the wildest dream you ever had? Story 1. I dreamed that I was back in college, weeks away from graduating, only to suddenly get an email from a professor, whom I never met, saying that I had missed every single day of a class that I never knew I was enrolled in. I was in a blind panic trying to figure out what I had missed, and what I needed to do to pass, only to wake up, and eventually realize that I am already graduated and have a job. Story 2. I used to work for Coca-Cola years ago. I absolutely hated it, terrible bosses, barely mediocre pay, etc. I quit there almost 20 years ago and have been with the same company since I left. Well, a few years ago I had a dream that I quit the company I am at, and went back to work for Coke. I was miserable, same old crap as before. The dream was so real, that when I woke I laid in bed and was convinced I had went back to work for Coke. I was legitimately depressed and sad for about 20 minutes until I realized it was just a dream. Story 3. I slept for 5 hours and dreamed I was falling through different lives where I was rich, then a Vietnam vet which was violent, and then a garbage man. I was happiest as the garbage man cause I'd keep getting high fives. Alright kids, always remember to high five your local garbage man. Story 4. Had a dream where I was walking by an elementary school and heard banging. Looked at the school and a bunch of children and babies were banging on the windows with their bloody hands. So I rush over to save them, but realize my feet hurt. I look down and the grass is made of razor blades. I fall over and look up into the tree to see a bunch of babies and children hanging from nooses, struggling to breathe. Story 5. I had a dream where I met someone, fell in love, had kids, raised those kids, and saw them go off to college. It really did feel like years and it felt so real. When I woke up I had this intense sadness over the loss of a family that wasn't real. Read an account of someone having the same dream, but they were in an accident and unconscious. He woke up and he never really recovered from the grief of losing the wife and family he had in that other life. Story 6. In this dream I was suddenly on my grandparents' farm, and I could tell I was about 10 to 20 years older than I am right now. The sky was burning an angry red-orange mix, and the sun was burning so bright that I felt like my skin was on fire. I saw dozens of people running around, screaming, trying to find loved ones, and just general panic. I realized that everyone was panicking. We were all being burned alive by the sun. I was wandering around, feeling like I was looking for someone I loved, but I didn't know who that was. A random man was running and he stabbed me in the gut. He was crying and just stammering that he didn't know what to do. What should any of us do? I woke up then with my eyes literally hurting, and I felt like my gut was on fire. Took weeks if not months to not still feel that when I thought about it. Story 7. I lived an entire life. From birth to death. I was trying to quit smoking in the late aughts, and had a nicotine patch on, which would give me really weird and vivid dreams. Slept for 11 hours one night and lived this other life. Was the most bizarre and crazy thing I've ever experienced. It was so vivid and so real. I promptly forgot all but a little bit of it while waking up, but the emotions and sensations still remain. Thank you for this comment. The patches fuck people up in a lot of ways that no one thinks about. I tried quitting cigarettes via patches, and I had very vivid and violent dreams. Every single night. It got to the point where I was so scared to sleep that I just didn't until my body shut down on me. That's how I lost my job. I eventually realized that the patches were ruining my ability to be a normal person, and the dreams persisted longer than a month after I quit using them. Story 8. When I was younger I had a super freaky dream. In the dream, my family and I were supposed to be moving to a new house. We arrived at the new place to take a look around. The previous owner's furniture was still in there, mostly boxed up and ready to go. I decided to go upstairs and found a corridor behind a panel in the wall. The corridor was kind of dusty and cobwebbed, and there was a door at the end of it. I opened the door into a room that was almost an exact copy of the room I shared with my older sister in my real home, save for a few extra bits. There was a vanity table, one of those built-in ones with cupboards surrounding it, and a big mirror at the back. And on the table was a small TV with built-in VCR that was on but playing static. Stuck all around the mirror were photos from my childhood, birthday parties, first day at school, etc. And in every one there was another person next to me, but their faces was scratched out. The TV suddenly started playing a VHS tape, a family video of my 6th birthday party, except that other person was there again, but the face was blurred out. There were other copies of things around the room I had as a kid or drawings I remember doing, but they all had a different name on them. Dreamy got creeped out and left the room and walked back downstairs to join my family as they were leaving the house. I turned back and glanced up the stairs to see someone who looked exactly like me peeking round the top of the stairs, looking straight back at me. Absolutely freaked me out, and I told my mum about it when I woke up. She seemed fairly nonplussed and chose to respond by saying, "Well, you were a twin, but I miscarried. Maybe they were saying hello." Story 9. One early morning I woke up from a nightmare and went out to the kitchen to get some coffee. My dad was also in there about an hour earlier than he was usually up. I told him about this dream I had where I saw this giant scorpion crawling on the ceiling of an all-white room above me, and I couldn't move until the scorpion started falling on my face when I woke up. He says, was it brown and really hairy? I was like, yeah. How did you know? And he's like, I just had the exact same dream. To this day, neither one of us can explain it. We had a number of other weird coincidences happen when I was a toddler too, but that one was a special brand of weird. Story 10. I have a buddy who dabbles a lot in psychoactive drugs. He says in another time we call him a shaman. He had a friend staying over for a bit who dabbled similarly. Said one night he had a dream where he was himself walking through the woods, trying to get somewhere. And he is set upon by a wolf. The wolf is biting at him, pawing at him, chasing him down, nipping at his heels. He's fighting back any way he can, terrified, just trying to get where he's going. The wolf harangues him for ages but never kills him. At some point he wakes and heads out of the living room for a cigarette, finds his buddy there. His buddy. Fuck you man, learn to play. Him. What? His buddy. I'm the wolf. Learn how to play. I guess the point being they shared the dream, and HB was playing and toying with him, aware it was a dream, and even choosing to be a wolf. Wild, wild shit. He has hundreds of stories like this. He really may be some type of shaman. I don't know. Weird spiritual shit happens over there. He lives in his family's home, since his grandfather built it. He an asshole, but he's a good dude. I should go hang out with him. It's been too long. Story 11. I had a dream last night that I was at a Red Hot Chili Peppers concert, and Anthony Kiedis went into the crowd and just started humping people while singing. He humped these two guys from behind, and they just decked him. He got COVID and they had to cancel the rest of the show. That's fucking hilarious. Story 12. I used to have a recurring dream. It would start with me being alone in a house in the kitchen. I walked into a big room and closed the door behind me. It was dark. The room was empty, except for one of those wind-up jack-in-the-box things on the other side of the room, and it would start to wind down and play some kind of creepy clown music. I knew I couldn't just back out of the room. The door was now locked. But there was a door on the other side by the jack-in-the-box. I also knew I had to get out before it went off. So, I ran for the door on the other side of the room. I made it before the jack-in-the-box went off. Beyond the door was a hallway. There's a door that goes to the bathroom, and the hallway continues to wrap around the corner. I know something bad is coming from around the corner, so I hide in the bathroom. The door is closed, but I still see these child-sized mechanical toy things march down the hall and towards the dark room. Once they pass, I know it's safe to leave. I go back down the hall, through the dark room which is no longer a danger. I know the door is unlocked now, and I go back to the kitchen. Then a group of friends comes in from outside. They were done roasting marshmallows over a campfire. I feel safe again, and the dream ends. This dream always happened exactly the same way, feelings and all. It was like I kept having it for the first time. Only upon waking up did I realize I'd had it again, and I always woke up after the dream ended, as far as I know. Story 13. Dreamt around 9 to 10 years old. Was on a family trip in a station wagon, and we all died driving off the end of the dock. Looked out over the water and there were suddenly concrete lily pads, and somehow I knew that's where we had to stand when we were with the devil. I know this because God and the devil negotiated that we'd spend half our time with each of them. Story 14. My worst dreams are about my best friend who passed away. I've had multiple where she is suddenly alive again, and I'm overjoyed while she's embarrassed about me making a big deal over her. I take her back to see her family and show her parents that she's okay, but before we can make it there, she stumbles into me and collapses, seizing. I carry her as far as I can, but I'm not strong enough or fast enough to get her to someone who can save her before she dies in my arms. It's been over 5 years since she passed, and I don't think about her all the time the way I used to, which makes these dreams hurt even worse when they hit me out of nowhere. Story 15. I was in a forest, on my knees, hands tied behind my back, wearing chainmail armor. The people standing around me were wearing armor as well. I couldn't see any faces. Only up to their shoulders. Some inaudible talking as I was looking around trying to figure out what was happening. See shiny metal come towards my neck. It was warm. Heard my neck crack, then my vision fell to the ground as I watched my decapitated body fall forward. Woke up drenched in sweat, heartbeat racing. Only thing I thought was death doesn't hurt. Life-changing dream. Story 16. Last night I dreamt I was reuniting with all my old buddies and teachers from back when I was training at wrestling college to become a professional wrestler. We reminisced about all the old rivalries, the pranks. I went back around the old campus grounds, exploring and catching up with the faculty. So many stories. Only of course in the waking world I have never had anything to do with wrestling, and have zero interest in the sport, but my brain was capable of weaving this incredibly detailed tapestry of places and characters. I woke up and feel sad that it was all just bullshit. If you enjoyed those stories, please consider subscribing and leaving a like on this video.